Welcome to the Dr. Mudgil podcast. This is episode 158. November is winding down. What was like a super arid time here in New York has been actually super rainy. It's been raining a bunch these last few days. It's cold. Definitely feeling fall, which is good because this is Thanksgiving week and that's what you're supposed to feel. We actually record the podcast generally on the Thursdays, but because of it's Thanksgiving this week, we're recording it a little bit early, but it's sort of a Thanksgiving themed podcast, but hopefully it will still resonate after Thanksgiving. So here goes. I guess I've been talking about the election a lot the last few podcasts. But it's funny because this was obviously a very wild election cycle. And then a lot of the post-election aftermath and, commentary has also been, very heated, emotional, all that sort of stuff. And one of the things that folks were talking about, and I watch various things, typically while I'm working out. But one of the things I had on was actually the show, The View. And, I forget which host it was. It might've been Sunny Hostin. I can't remember, but she was basically saying how, I don't even know if it was her. So I apologize if I'm speaking out of school, but I think she may have mentioned that, that she's not going to be going to Thanksgiving, or she's not into Thanksgiving this year, or maybe she was advising folks, don't go to Thanksgiving if people there have different, voted for Donald Trump or have different values than you, et cetera. Again, I'm not sure it was her, but that was sort of the theme of what Thanksgiving is going to be like this year with the aftermath of the election. And maybe you should just abstain from going because, it could get heated with politics, etc.
I think when people feel that someone voted not only against their families, but against them and against people that they loved, I think it's okay to take a beat.
I found that to be very foolish advice, honestly. So I'm going to kind of go on a little a mental runaround right now. But I remember many years ago, I'm talking about 20 years ago, maybe more than 20 years ago, my older brother, well, I have one brother. He's older than me. He's 7 years older than me. So I've always been sort of a sage figure in my life. And I was asking him for I think it must have been relationship advice or something. And he said to me, what I realized, he said that sometimes you just need to just love. And he's like, that's kind of how I operate. And for some reason, I think about that every now and then. I think about that, just love. And that's what Thanksgiving to me is all about. It's very rare that an entire family gets together. I'm seeing folks this Thanksgiving who I haven't seen since last Thanksgiving. My in-laws throw a pretty large Thanksgiving, and it's a mishmash of people, and it's going to be a mishmash of people. Actually, I haven't seen these folks, I think, since my father-in-law passed away, which was a year and a half ago. We actually didn't have Thanksgiving last year. We went away because it was our first Thanksgiving without my father-in-law. But we're bringing it back, and we're having Thanksgiving this year. And I keep thinking about that. The advice to give someone to boycott Thanksgiving or not go to Thanksgiving because you might be around someone who has a different political view or just a different religious view or just a different view than you may espouse. And that's the beauty of the world. That's what makes the world go around. But if you go in with the premise of, I'm just going to love, these are people that have been part of my life maybe for, a year or months or maybe years and years and years and years. And it's an opportunity to get together and just feel the love of the room. And it doesn't matter if you agree with somebody politically or religiously, what you need to do is just find common ground and embrace the love of the moment. And I want to share a couple of examples with you. So when I was in college, my roommate freshman year in college was from a very religious Baptist family. Amazing guy, nicest guy in this world. His parents are incredible. I remember when my mom dropped me off, they were from Atlanta, a Southern family. And when mom dropped me off, she was basically an empty nester at that time. It was, very, very emotional. And they told my mom, said, you don't worry about a thing. We're going to take care of your boy. And they did. I remember I got sick and my roommate's mom brought me chicken noodle soup. And my roommate's dad told me I need to gargle with salt water. And he was very upset when I didn't follow his advice. And but in a very loving way. They were just such nice, amazing, kind, warm people. And my roommate he was from like I said, he was from a religious family. He used to go to church every Sunday. I think he used to go to Bible study and all that sort of stuff. He was like, very, very, very Baptist. And I remember one time, like out of a genuine place of love, he said to me, he's like, he was really concerned that I wasn't, a Baptist. I wasn't going to church. And he was really concerned that I wasn't going to go to heaven because of his beliefs. And it wasn't like he was scolding me. It's not like he's saying, oh, like you're screwed, because you don't go to my church. It was actually coming from a place of love. It's like, hey, I really like you. You're like my close friend. You're my roommate. And, I only want the best for you. So I'm just telling you, like, what I think. And, we kind of have lost a bit of touch through the years. I mean, we connect, we connected at our reunions and stuff. I mean, I still have absolutely nothing but love for this human. I mean, such an amazing guy, beautiful family. They were so kind and so good to me. But I always remember thinking, like here we had like very different views. I didn't grow up in a Baptist church. He grew up in a Baptist church. We were from a religious family, but my family was Hindu and had like, different practices. And obviously he grew up in a church setting, but, and my view has always been, there's many roads to the same endpoint. But I really, listened to what he had to say, although, he didn't convince me to become a Baptist. But I really appreciated like what he was saying was coming from a place of love. And it was really one of those things where it's like, hey, just love, feel the love that this person is showering upon you because they're genuinely concerned, even though we may have different viewpoints, and, I'll share another story with you guys. A couple of months, must have been, maybe it was like 2 months ago or so. A close friend of ours, mom passed away. And their mom was actually a patient of mine, but I only knew her in her elder years, when she was pretty sick. She was pretty sick towards the end. And I used to do like, virtual visits with her, with whatever skin conditions she may have had. I mean, a really beautiful, lovely woman. But we went to her, it wasn't her funeral ceremony. It was kind of like a celebration of life event. There was lots of people there. It was like a very, very fancy like catering hall, and must have been like hundreds of people were there to pay their respects. And they had a beautiful montage of her, like, where they're showing all these pictures throughout her life. And, I only knew her when she was like in her, I mean, she must have been in her 80s, when I knew her. But there was pictures from when she was in her 20s and 30s and as a young grandparent, as a parent. She's a beautiful, vibrant woman. And her grandkids all gave you, well, not all of them, but most of them gave some sort of eulogy where they would describe their grandmother and how amazing of a person she was. And they were Muslim. They're a Muslim Persian family. And one of the things that was a common theme was that, their grandmother, the woman who passed away, was such an accepting figure. And even though she was Muslim and, she would go to mosque, she was best friends with folks who were Jewish and she would go to their synagogue, or, someone who was Catholic and she'd go to their church, or someone who was Hindu and she would go to their temple. And everywhere she went, everybody loved her because she was just this amazing, warm, infectiously loving person. And, she was always greeted with incredible warmth, and she always greeted everyone with incredible warmth. And her home was basically like a revolving door of like all sorts of folks, young and old, rich and poor, all kinds of religions, coming through the house. And every grandkid said the same thing about their grandmother. And this is a person who, she was Muslim and she had her, religious beliefs. But just because she was, devout in whatever her beliefs were, she didn't shun anyone else's beliefs. She said, oh, that's great. That's what makes the world a beautiful place. We're all different. And I want to learn a little bit about what you believe in, and you can learn a little about what I believe in. And, we can all learn from each other and just love. And, really, that is what I think the takeaway is from this election. That's what the takeaway for the last few weeks have been for me. Someone might be a Democrat, someone might be a Republican, someone might be a conservative, someone might be a liberal, someone might be Jewish, someone might be Muslim. But the point is, we all share so much more in common than we have different. And the key, I believe, is to just love. So I hope with that, you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving with your families. I hope you went to Thanksgiving and just felt the love that your loved ones were showering upon each other. And I hope you were showering some love back. I hope you all have a wonderful, restful, long weekend and are just ready to crush the week ahead. Just love. Let's get it.